When I first started out in filmmaking, I was always after that elusive cinematic look. But the question is, how exactly do you get there? In this episode, I'm going to be sharing 10 tips and techniques that will bring you closer to those rich filmic visuals that we all want. I'm going to be giving you these tips and techniques in a quick fire fashion, kind of just nailing them out of the way one at a time as quickly as possible without mumbling too much. So let's get into it. Shoot into the shadows. If you want your subject to look almost instantaneously more cinematic, shoot into those shadows. Make sure the light is hitting your subject from the opposite side from where the camera is. This adds contrast, mood, and depth. Flat front-on lighting is okay, I guess, for beauty videos or some tutorials here on YouTube. But if you want emotional cinematic visuals, then that's what you need to do. Switch up your focal lengths. Don't just stick to one focal length. Go wide, go mid, go close up, go macro. Wide lenses give context to a scene and establish the scene. A mid shot feels more immersive, and a close up adds intimacy. So switch it up. Use atmosphere for texture and depth. One of the most underrated tools for achieving this cinematic look is atmosphere, and the best way to create it is with a hazer. A hazer emits a very fine mist into the air, and it hangs longer in the space that you're filming in. This very subtle haze softens the edges of your visuals, lifts the contrast in a natural way, and makes your highlights bloom beautifully. The presence of haze also gives your lighting more dimension by making the light beams and the shafts visible. This adds texture and depth to your scene. Use it sparingly and it'll work wonders for you. Embrace shooting outside. This is one of the first things that I learned. Shoot when the sun is at its lowest point in the sky. The warm, soft light during golden hour wraps beautifully around your subject and creates a natural contrast. And another thing I love about it is there's no need for lights. Just show up an hour before sunset or shortly after sunrise and let the sky do its work. That brings me to my next point. Don't overlook overcast days. They're literally a gift to us filmmakers. The cloud cover acts as a massive natural softbox in the sky, diffusing the sunlight, eliminating those harsh shadows. This allows for beautifully even, flattering light that wraps around your subject's face. Use prime lenses if you can. Prime lenses offer sharper images, faster apertures, and more pleasing bokeh than zoom lenses do. They force you to move your feet and really think about the composition. And if you're building a kit and you want to start out with prime lenses, the first two lenses you need to get are the 24mm for your wide shot and a 50mm for your mid to close-up shots. It's a killer combo. Use ND filters to keep that cinematic look. One of the easiest ways to make your footage look more cinematic is by shooting with a shallow depth of field. This is where your subject is in focus and the background is blurred. To get that look, you need to shoot with a wider open aperture of 1.8 or 2.8, but there is a problem with shooting with a wide open aperture. When you're shooting outdoors in bright sunlight and you have a wide open aperture, it lets in too much light that hits your sensor. Then what you do is you crank up the shutter speed to fix this issue. But then your footage starts to look jaggedy, sharp, jittery, because the motion blur disappears, and that is not cinematic. This is where ND filters come in. Think of them as sunglasses for your lens. They reduce the amount of light hitting the sensor so you can keep that aperture wide open. And this ties in with the previous tip. Shoot in the correct shutter speed. Stick to the 180-degree rule. Essentially what that means is make sure your shutter speed is double that of your frame rate. So if you're shooting at 24 frames per second, then your shutter speed should be 1/48. Going above that shutter speed makes your footage look choppy and harsh, which might work for a sport or an action scene, but not for a standard cinematic look. Lock it off. Sometimes the most cinematic choice is no movement at all. A locked off frame that's well composed can feel very powerful and intentional. Don't feel like you have to constantly move the camera in every single shot. And if you need to add in movement with your static shot, you can always do that in post with digital keyframes. The next tip ties into the last one, and that's add movement with purpose. Don't move the camera just for the sake of doing it. Every moment should serve a purpose, whether it's revealing an emotion, building tension, or drawing your viewers in. Match your movement style to the mood. Shoot through foreground elements. Shooting through foreground elements adds depth instantly to your scene. Whether those elements are already in your environment or you have to kind of introduce them yourself, the result is a more dimensional cinematic frame that makes the viewer feel like they're peeking into a moment. Be bold with your direction. What I mean by that is sometimes cinematic magic comes from you stepping out of your safe zone, not being afraid, and asking your subject to do something different, something bold. Whether it's having them break that fourth wall with direct eye contact or holding a lingering pause. These are the moments that stand out to our viewers on screen. Cinematic visuals aren't just about lighting or camera movement, they're about performance. And performance starts with direction. What you need to do is trust your instincts, even if the idea feels risky or unconventional. Give it a shot. Some of the most powerful shots happen when you're confident enough to make something that makes the room go quiet. And that's it. My top 10 cinematic tips and techniques that you can use right now to get closer to that cinematic visual that you are after. If you guys enjoyed this video, like, comment, and subscribe. If you didn't enjoy this video, it's cool. You can just bounce until next time. Cheers, guys.